Dr. Maya Chen pressed her nose against the observation window, her breath fogging the reinforced glass. Below her, the archive station stretched across the void like a silver flower, its petals made of metal and light. She had traveled 3 months through space to reach this place, and still couldn't believe she was here. "Amazing, isn't it?" said Ambassador Thorne, the human diplomat who had brought her along. 10,000 years old, and nobody knows how it works. Maya nodded, her fingers clutching the data pad containing her agricultural research. She was just a plant scientist. From rural China, she grew crops that could survive droughts. She made vegetables that fed hungry people. She had no business being at the Galactic Council's most important site. "Why did you invite me again?" Maya asked, pushing her glasses up her nose. Thorne smiled. "The agricultural symposium is a big deal. Earth is finally sharing technology with other worlds. Your drought-resistant rice could help 6 planets facing water shortages." The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. Maya followed Thorne through corridors filled with beings from across the galaxy. There were tall, blue-skinned Valerians, with 4 arms. Small, furry Pixits who chittered in musical tones. Massive, rock-like Storians, who moved slowly, but spoke with deep wisdom. Maya felt very small and very ordinary among them. The symposium hall was enormous. Hundreds of species gathered to share knowledge about farming, food production, and feeding growing populations. Maya presented her research on rice genetics, explaining how she had studied ancient seed varieties from her grandmother's farm and combined them with modern techniques. The audience seemed interested, but not amazed. After all, many species had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Earth's farming methods seemed simple compared to planets that grew food in artificial gravity or harvested energy directly from their suns. After her presentation, Ambassador Thorne suggested a tour of the archive station's public areas. "You came all this way," he said. "Might as well see the famous mystery that nobody can solve." The archive itself stood in the station's center, a massive crystalline structure that glowed with soft, inner light. A Valerian guide explained its history to Maya's tour group. "The archive was built by the first builders," the guide said, her 4 hands gesturing gracefully. "We know they existed over 50,000 years ago. We know they created this archive to store their greatest knowledge, but we cannot access it." "Why not?" asked a young Pixit scientist. The guide led them to an interface panel covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change. "The archive requires DNA verification. Every species in the Galactic Council has tried. The system rejects everyone. We believe the first builders left no descendants." Maya studied the interface with curiosity. The symbols reminded her of something, though she couldn't say what. Perhaps patterns she had seen in plant genetics? She reached out without thinking, her fingers hovering over the glowing surface. "Please don't touch," the guide began. Maya's hand made contact with the interface. Everything changed. Golden light exploded from the panel, washing over Maya in waves. She gasped as warmth flooded through her body, gentle but overwhelming. The symbols on the interface rearranged themselves into words she could somehow read. "Scanning DNA sample," the archive announced in a voice that resonated through the entire chamber. "Comparing to origin database." Quote, the tour group stumbled backward. Ambassador Thorne shouted Maya's name, but she couldn't move. The light held her in place, not painfully, but firmly, like a hand steadying a child. "Match found," the archive declared. "Origin code recognized." The golden light intensified, forming patterns in the air around Maya. She saw spirals that looked like DNA helixes, geometric shapes that pulsed with meaning, and star maps that showed Earth at their center. "Welcome home, architect," the archive said, its voice now warm and almost happy. Primary protocols activated. Awaiting command authorization. The light faded. Maya stood trembling, her hand still on the interface. Every being in the chamber stared at her with expressions of shock, confusion, and wonder. The Valarian guide's 4 arms hung limp at her sides. That's impossible. The system has rejected every DNA sample for 10,000 years. Every species. Every genetic variation. How did a human? Ambassador Thorne rushed to Maya's side. Are you hurt? What happened? Maya shook her head, her mind spinning. I don't know. I just touched it, and then... She looked at her hands as if they belonged to someone else. What did it mean by architect? The archive's interface blazed to life again, projecting a massive hologram into the center of the chamber. Maya and the others watched as images formed in the air. Humans, but not quite like any humans Maya had seen before. They wore clothing made of light and metal, moved between stars in ships that seemed alive, and stood among gatherings of various alien species. Text appeared beneath the hologram in glowing letters. The Peacemakers. Galaxy Cycle. 7,293. Architects of the Harmony Protocols. This is a recording of the first builders, the guide whispered, her voice filled with awe. Nobody has ever seen their faces before. And they're... human? Maya stared at the ancient humans in the hologram. One of them, a woman with kind eyes, looked directly at the viewer, as if seeing across 50,000 years. Maya felt a strange recognition, like looking at photographs of ancestors she had never met but somehow knew. Ambassador Thorne gripped Maya's shoulder. Dr. Chen, I think you've just changed everything we thought we knew about Earth's history. Before Maya could respond, armed security officers entered the chamber, followed by members of the Galactic Council. A Storian counselor, her rock-like face grave, spoke in a voice like grinding mountains. Dr. Maya Chen of Earth, please come with us. We have many questions. Maya sat in a comfortable chair inside the council's medical facility. The room had white walls and soft lighting, designed to make visitors feel calm. Through the window, she could see Earth's moon in the distance. A reminder of home that made her heart ache. Please don't be nervous, Dr. Chen, said Dr. Kelrix, a reptilian scientist with emerald scales and gentle golden eyes. These scans won't hurt at all. We just need to understand what makes your genetic code special. Maya nodded, though her hands still trembled slightly. 3 days had passed since she touched the archive. 3 days of questions, tests, and confused faces from beings across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to know how an ordinary farmer's granddaughter from Earth could unlock technology that had remained sealed for 10,000 years. Kelrix activated the scanning equipment. Blue light washed over Maya as machines hummed softly. She watched holographic displays show her DNA spiraling in the air, each strand marked with glowing points of interest. Fascinating, Kelrix muttered, his clawed fingers dancing over controls. Absolutely fascinating. What do you see? Maya asked. Kelrix turned to face her, his expression mixing excitement with confusion. Your DNA contains markers we've never seen before. Not in any human we've tested. Not in any species in our database. He zoomed in on a section of the hologram. Look here. These sequences are dormant, like sleeping code in a computer program. They don't seem to do anything for your body, but they're definitely there. What do they mean? That's what we're trying to understand. Kelrix pulled up comparison charts. We've tested 200 other humans since you activated the archive. None of them have these markers. Not even your Ambassador Thorne. Maya thought of her grandmother, back on the farm in China. Her grandmother, who told stories of ancestors who came from the stars long ago. Stories Maya had always thought were just family legends. Could you test my grandmother? Maya asked suddenly. She might have the same markers. Kelrix's eyes brightened. Excellent idea. We'll arrange it. A chime sounded. Ambassador Thorne entered the room, followed by Counselor Verath. the Storian whose stone-like body towered over everyone. Dr. Chen, Vareth rumbled. The archive is requesting your presence. It says it will only communicate with you. Maya's stomach fluttered with nervousness. But she stood up. What does it want to say? We don't know. That's why we need you. They traveled through the station's corridors to the archive chamber. Security officers now guarded every entrance. Inside, scientists from dozens of species worked at terminals, trying to understand the awakened technology. Maya approached the interface. The moment her fingers touched the surface, golden light filled the room again. This time, she didn't feel afraid. The warmth felt almost familiar, like her grandmother's hugs. The archive's voice spoke clearly. Architect recognized. Beginning historical data transfer. Holograms exploded into existence around Maya. She saw Earth as it was 50,000 years ago, green, blue, and beautiful. But with cities of light that reached toward the sky. Humans moved among the stars in ships that seemed to grow rather than being built. Humanity was the galaxy's first spacefaring civilization. The archive explained, its voice patient like a teacher. They did not conquer. They did not take resources from others. They learned to travel between worlds and found a galaxy at war. The hologram shifted, showing battles between species Maya didn't recognize. Planets burned. Ships exploded. Entire civilizations disappeared. The First Galactic War lasted 3,000 years. The archive continued. Millions died. Planets became wastelands. Then humanity arrived. Maya watched as ancient humans stepped between warring species. They didn't bring weapons. Instead, they brought words, patience, and understanding. Slowly, through countless meetings and negotiations, they helped enemies become friends. They taught species to share resources instead of fighting over them. They created trade routes that connected distant worlds. Your ancestors ended the war, the archive said. They created the Harmony Protocol's rules for peaceful coexistence that became the foundation of the Galactic Council. Tears ran down Maya's cheeks as she watched her ancient relatives work tirelessly for peace. They looked tired, hopeful, and determined. Why did they leave? She whispered. Why did humanity forget all this? Why? The hologram changed, showing Earth's sun flaring with violent energy. Maya watched in horror as solar storms swept across Earth's surface. The cities of light crumbled. The starships fell from the sky. Humans retreated underground, to caves and shelters, fighting just to survive. A solar catastrophe struck without warning, the archive explained. Humanity lost 90% of its population. All advanced technology was destroyed. The survivors had to rebuild civilization from the beginning. They forgot their history among the stars. They forgot the Harmony Protocols. They forgot everything except how to survive. The hologram showed generations passing. Ancient humans became tribal communities. Then early civilizations. Then, eventually, the modern world Maya knew. But the knowledge of the stars remained lost, buried under 50,000 years of forgotten history. Before the catastrophe, your ancestors created this archive, the archive continued. They embedded their genetic signature into its core systems. Only their direct descendants could reactivate it. They knew that someday, humanity would return to space. And when they did, they would need to remember who they were and what they believed. Maya looked at Kelrix, at Ambassador Thorne, at Counselor Varath. They all watched the holograms with expressions of wonder. The dormant markers in your DNA, Dr. Chen, are not random, the archive said. They are memory. Your family line carries the purest genetic record from the original peacemakers. Your grandmother's stories were true. Your ancestors did come from the stars. New information flooded the displays around the chamber. Solutions to modern problems appeared. New energy sources, methods for healing damaged planets, techniques for growing food in hostile environments, peaceful conflict resolution strategies. This knowledge can help the galaxy, the archive said. But there is a warning. Secondary protocols require activation within 30 cycles, or permanent lockout will occur. You must complete what your ancestors started. Architect Maya Chen. The golden light faded. Maya stood in silence, feeling the weight of 50,000 years pressing on her shoulders. Maya stared at her reflection in the window of her quarters. The woman looking back at her seemed like a stranger. 2 weeks ago, she had been nobody special, just a scientist who loved working with plants and soil. Now the entire galaxy called her Architect, a title that felt too big for her shoulders. She missed her grandmother's farm. She missed the simple smell of earth after rain. She missed feeding the chickens and checking on seedlings in the greenhouse. She never wanted to be important. She just wanted to help things grow. A gentle knock sounded at her door. "Dr. Chen, may I enter?" Maya recognized Dr. Kelrick's voice. "Come in." The reptilian scholar entered, carrying a datapad and 2 cups of tea. He offered one to Maya. "I learned that humans find hot beverages comforting during difficult times." Maya accepted the cup gratefully, wrapping her hands around its warmth. Kelrick settled into a chair, his tail curling comfortably around its base. "You seem troubled, my friend." "I don't know if I can do this," Maya admitted, her voice small. "The archive wants me to activate protocols across the galaxy. Important people keep asking me questions I don't know how to answer. Everyone expects me to be special because of my DNA, but I'm not. I'm just a farmer who happens to have old genes." Kelrick's golden eyes were warm with understanding. "May I tell you something about humanity that I've learned through years of study?" Maya nodded. "Earth's greatest strength was never your technology," Kelrick said gently. "It was your ability to find common ground with anyone. Your ancestors didn't end the First Galactic War with weapons or superior science. They ended it by listening, by understanding, by treating enemies as future friends. That's what made them special. The first created. That's what made them special. That's what made them special." He leaned forward. "And from what I've seen, Dr. Chen, you carry that same gift. You listen to plants. Understanding what they need to thrive. Is listening to people so different?" Before Maya could respond, an alert chimed on Kelrick's datapad. He read the message and smiled. "The Council has made their decision. They're authorizing your journey to activate the protocols." Maya's heart raced. "Journey? What journey?" "The archive revealed that you must travel to 5 locations across the galaxy," Kelrick explained. "Each location holds a piece of ancient human wisdom about peaceful coexistence. Only by visiting these sites and demonstrating your understanding can you fully activate the Harmony protocols." Maya felt panic rising in her chest. "But I don't know how to demonstrate ancient wisdom. I barely understand what's happening." "Then perhaps," Kelrick said kindly, "you should ask your grandmother." An hour later, Maya sat before a communication screen. The signal had to travel across light years. But modern technology made the connection clear. Her grandmother's wrinkled face appeared, her eyes bright with life despite her 90 years. "Maya, my dear child," her grandmother said in Mandarin, "they told me what happened. I always knew you were special." "Grandmother?" "Nothing makes sense," Maya replied, also in Mandarin. "The archive says, our family carries memories from ancient times. Were your stories true? Did our ancestors really come from the stars?" Her grandmother smiled, a knowing expression that seemed to hold decades of secrets. "My mother told me stories, her mother told her, going back generations beyond counting. We were always told to remember that we came from the sky, to remember that our purpose was to help others find peace, to remember that every living thing deserves respect and care. But how do I activate ancient protocols? I'm just a plant scientist." "Maya, listen to me." Her grandmother's voice became firm, the same tone she used when teaching important lessons. When two farmers argue over water rights, how do you help them? Maya thought about it. I visit both farms. I understand their needs. I find a solution that helps them both. When plants won't grow, what do? I study the soil. I learn what's missing. I provide what's needed. Her grandmother nodded. The wisdom you need is already inside you. Treat the galaxy like you treat the land. Listen. Understand. Nurture. Help things grow. That's what our ancestors did. That's what you can do. Tears filled Maya's eyes. I'm scared, grandmother. Fear is normal when facing big tasks. But remember what I always told you. The best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Don't think about saving the whole galaxy. Just take the first step, then the next one. After the call ended, Maya felt steadier. Her grandmother was right. She didn't need to understand everything at once. She just needed to begin. The next morning, Maya stood in the council chamber before representatives from hundreds of worlds. Ambassador Thorne stood beside her, offering silent support. Counselor Verath spoke in her rumbling voice. Dr. Chen, the council has selected a crew to accompany you on this journey. They represent different species, different worlds, different perspectives. They will help and protect you. 6 beings stepped forward. Maya recognized Kelrix, who gave her an encouraging nod. There was also Captain Rin, a blue-skinned Valerian pilot with 4 capable arms. Engineer Morp, a small, furry pixit who specialized in ancient technology. Navigator Shen, a human from Mars colony who knew space routes better than anyone. Healer Yuna, a gentle being, made of crystalline energy, who could sense emotions. And Security Chief Tor, a massive, but kind Storian, who promised to keep everyone safe. These people volunteered to help you, Verath said. They believe in what your ancestors built. They believe in peace. Maya looked at her new crew. They smiled at her at least, those who had faces capable of smiling. The others expressed welcome through gestures and sounds of warmth. Our first destination is the garden world of Verdania, Kelrix explained. Your ancestors taught the warring species there how to share agricultural resources instead of fighting over them. The first protocol node waits there. Maya took a deep breath, remembering her grandmother's words. Then let's go plant some seeds, she said, surprised by the steadiness in her own voice. The ship glided through space like a silver bird, carrying Maya and her crew toward their first destination. Maya stood in the observation deck, watching stars streak past as Captain Rin piloted them through hyperspace. She still felt nervous, but her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. One step at a time. We're approaching Verdania, Rin announced, her 4 arms moving gracefully across the controls. It's beautiful. You'll see. The ship dropped out of hyperspace, and Maya gasped. Verdania hung before them like a green jewel, its surface covered in forests, meadows, and gardens that stretched from pole to pole. 3 small moons orbited the planet, each one also showing patches of green. 50,000 years ago, this world was a battlefield, Kelrix said, standing beside Maya. 2 species fought over farmland for generations. Then, your ancestors arrived. They landed in a clearing surrounded by ancient trees. The local inhabitants, a people called the Verdani, waited to greet them. The Verdani looked like walking plants. Their bodies were covered in bark-like skin, and leaves grew from their heads like hair. They moved slowly, but gracefully, their faces kind and welcoming. An elder Verdani named Root Speaker approached Maya, bowing deeply. We have waited long for an architect to return. Our histories speak of the humans who taught us the way of shared growth. Maya felt awkward being called important, but she bowed back respectfully. I'm here to learn from what my ancestors left behind. Root Speaker led them through gardens that showed incredible planning. Different species crops grew side by side, each plant helping its neighbors. Maya recognized the technique immediately companion planting, but more sophisticated than anything she'd seen on Earth. Your ancestors showed us this, Root Speaker explained. Instead of dividing the land and fighting over it, we learned to grow together. Plants that help each other, sharing nutrients, sharing space, sharing sunlight. They reached a stone monument in the garden's center. Ancient symbols covered its surface, glowing softly with inner light. Maya placed her hand on the stone, and the symbols rearranged into words she could understand. To unlock the first protocol, the monument said, demonstrate understanding of shared prosperity. Maya looked at the gardens around her. She thought about her grandmother's farm, where different crops grew together in harmony. She thought about the farmers she'd helped back on Earth, teaching them that cooperation produced better harvests than competition. The secret isn't complicated, Maya said aloud. When we share resources wisely, everyone benefits more than if we fight over them. Plants teach us this lesson naturally. Golden light burst from the monument. The first protocol activated, sending data streaming back to the archive. Maya felt warmth spread through her chest, like her grandmother's approval from across the stars. The crew's next destination was a massive space station called Unity Hub. Now it orbited peacefully in neutral space, but the protocol node waited inside its oldest section. Engineer Morp guided them through corridors that showed signs of ancient construction. The walls still bore marks from old tools and weapons. This place built death machines. Morp chittered sadly, his furry ears drooping. Species came here to create weapons against their enemies. They found the protocol node in what had once been the main factory floor. Holographic images showed ancient humans working alongside aliens, not building weapons, but transforming them. Maya watched as swords became plows, warships became transport vessels, and bombs became power generators. Your ancestors didn't just stop the weapons production, Navigator Shen explained, reading the historical data. They taught everyone how to turn instruments of destruction into tools for building. The protocol node presented Maya with a challenge. Show how endings can become beginnings. Maya thought carefully. She remembered helping her grandmother after a terrible drought destroyed their crops. They didn't waste the dead plants. Instead, they composted them, turning death into rich soil that fed next year's harvest. Nothing is truly destroyed, Maya said, touching the node. Everything can be transformed. What seems like an ending can become a new beginning if we have the wisdom to reshape it. The second protocol activated with a burst of silver light. Their third stop was the Moon of Memories, a small satellite where ancient humans had established the galaxy's first cross-species university. The buildings still stood, preserved by technology Maya didn't understand. Healer Yuna, whose crystalline form glowed with soft colors, led them through the classrooms. This place taught something more important than science or mathematics. Yuna hummed, her voice like singing crystal. The protocol node here showed images of students from different species learning each other's languages, cultures, and ways of thinking. Maya saw ancient humans laughing with aliens, sharing meals, telling stories, building friendships that crossed the boundaries of biology. To activate this protocol, the node requested, demonstrate connection across differences. Maya gathered her crew around her. Tell me something about your home worlds, she said. Something that matters to you. One by one, her crew members shared. Kelric spoke of his people's reverence for knowledge and how they carved their history into stone. Rin described the Valerian tradition of four-handed art, where families created sculptures together. Morp explained how Pixits built nests in trees and sang to the stars each night. Shen talked about growing up on Mars, watching Earth rise over red mountains. Yuna hummed about her people's ability to feel emotions as colors. Tor rumbled about story and meditation, standing still for days to understand patience. As they shared, Maya realized something beautiful. Each story was different, but each spoke of home, family, and values. The differences didn't separate them, they enriched their understanding of each other. We're all different, Maya said softly, but we all love, we all hope, we all want peace and happiness. Understanding that connection is what makes us family. The third protocol blazed to life, filling the ancient university with warm light. 3 protocols activated. 2 more to go. The ship carried Maya and her crew toward the 4th protocol location, but tension filled the air. Captain Rin and Navigator Shen had been arguing for 2 days about the best route to take. Their disagreement had grown from professional difference to personal conflict. The northern route is faster, Rin insisted, her 4 arms crossed defensively. But the southern route is safer, Shen countered, his jaw set stubbornly. Speed means nothing if we don't arrive at all. Maya watched them argue in the common area, feeling helpless. She could activate ancient monuments and unlock cosmic secrets, but she didn't know how to stop 2 friends from fighting. They reached the 4th location, an asteroid field that had once been a massive battlefield. According to records, hundreds of ships had been destroyed here before ancient humans transformed the area into a thriving trade hub. The crew landed on the largest asteroid, where the protocol node waited inside a chamber carved from solid rock. But when Maya touched the interface, it didn't activate. Instead, new words appeared. To unlock this protocol, the architect must demonstrate practical peacemaking. Resolve conflict among those who travel with you. Maya's heart sank. The node was asking her to fix Rin and Shen's argument. She looked at her 2 crew members, who stood on opposite sides of the chamber, still not speaking to each other. Kelrix touched Maya's shoulder gently. Your ancestors didn't just teach peace in theory. They practiced it in daily life. This is your test. Maya took a deep breath and thought about her grandmother. How did her grandmother handle disputes on the farm? When neighbors argued about property lines or water rights, what did she do? She remembered. Her grandmother always made them work together on something first. Rin, Shen, come here, please, Maya said firmly. Both officers approached reluctantly, standing stiffly beside each other. Maya pulled out her datapad, showing them star charts. I need your help planning our route to the 5th location. Rin, you're the best pilot in this sector. Shen, you know navigation better than anyone. I can't do this without both of you. She made them stand side by side, looking at the same charts, forced to communicate about trajectories and fuel consumption. At first, they spoke only to Maya, avoiding each other. But gradually, professional necessity made them talk directly. If we adjust the entry angle here, Rin said, pointing, we could save time. Yes, but we'd need to account for gravitational pull, Shen added, his tone less angry. Maybe if we combine your speed approach with my safety calculations. Maya watched as they started actually listening to each other, instead of just defending their positions. She waited until they were engaged, then asked quietly, why did this argument become so personal? Rin's shoulders slumped. I felt like Shen didn't trust my piloting skills. Shen looked surprised. I trust your skills completely. I lost my sister in a navigation accident. I get scared when people take risks in space. Silence filled the chamber. Rin's eyes softened with understanding. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to dismiss your concerns. I just wanted to help us succeed. I know, Shen said. They looked at each other and smiled, the tension finally breaking. Maya felt relief wash over her. The protocol node blazed with golden light. Understanding achieved. Conflict resolved through honest communication and shared purpose. 4th protocol activated. Number 4. Maya realized something important. Her grandmother's wisdom wasn't complicated or mysterious. It was simple, practical, and based on treating people with respect and kindness. That's what her ancestors had done across the galaxy. Nothing magical, just basic human decency, applied consistently. The ship traveled to the fifth and final location, the original Galactic Council chamber, abandoned for thousands of years. The structure floated in space, a massive ring of metal and crystal that had witnessed the birth of galactic peace. Representatives from 100 species met them there, summoned by the Council to witness the final protocol activation. Maya felt nervous facing so many important people, but she remembered, one step at a time. The final protocol node stood in the center of the ancient council chamber. Its interface showed images of the first Galactic Council meeting, where ancient humans had helped countless species agree to the harmony protocols. To activate the final protocol, the node announced, the architect must demonstrate humanity's greatest lesson to all assembled species. Maya's mind raced. What could she possibly demonstrate to 100 different species? What universal lesson could reach everyone? Then she remembered something her grandmother had taught her as a child. The most important lessons were often the simplest. Maya opened her bag and pulled out a small container. Inside were seeds from Earth, vegetables, flowers, and trees from her grandmother's farm. She had brought them to show at the agricultural symposium, weeks ago when she was just a simple scientist. "Please, everyone, come forward," Maya said. The representatives approached cautiously. Maya poured rich soil into containers, then handed seeds to each being present. "My grandmother taught me that tending a garden teaches patience, responsibility, and hope," Maya explained. "When you plant a seed, you're investing in the future. You're nurturing something that will grow beyond yourself." She showed them how to plant the seeds, how to press them gently into soil, how to give them space to grow. Some species had hands, some had claws, some had tentacles, but all of them could plant seeds. Something remarkable happened. As beings from different worlds knelt together in the soil, working side by side to plant Earth's seeds, barriers dissolved. They helped each other, showed each other techniques, laughed when someone got dirt on their formal clothing. Maya continued softly. "My ancestors didn't build the harmony protocols with complicated technology or superior wisdom. They built it like this, bringing people together through simple, shared work, making strangers into gardeners of the same dream." The final protocol node erupted with light so brilliant it filled the entire chamber. But instead of flowing into Maya, the light spread equally to every being present. Knowledge from the archive distributed itself across the galaxy, not to one person or one species, but to everyone. The archive's voice spoke one last time. "The architects were never meant to rule. They were meant to remind you that you're all gardeners of the same galaxy. The origin code was not about superiority. It was about responsibility, memory, and the choice to build peace together." The light faded, but something had changed. Maya saw it in the faces around her: understanding, hope, and determination to nurture what had been planted. Weeks later, Maya stood in her grandmother's garden on Earth. The farm now hosted beings from across the galaxy, all learning ancient and modern agricultural techniques together. Children from different worlds played among the crops, planting seeds and pulling weeds side by side. Her grandmother sat in a chair under an apple tree, smiling as she watched an alien child carefully water tomato plants. "You did well, Maya," her grandmother said. "You remembered what matters most." Maya knelt in the soil, her hands in the earth where they belonged. She had traveled across the galaxy and unlocked ancient secrets. But the greatest truth was simple. Everyone could be a gardener. Everyone could choose to nurture rather than destroy. Everyone could plant seeds of peace. Above them, the archive remained in orbit, no longer locked but open to all. Not as a source of power, but as a reminder, a gift from humanity's past to the galaxy's future. Maya planted a seed and smiled. The greatest human trait had never been special technology or cosmic importance. It was recognizing that everyone else was just as special, just as worthy, just as capable of making the garden grow. And that was enough.